My name is Hans Gindlesberger, and I'm a 2024 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. I started this project in 2022 when I was in Korea on a Fulbright fellowship and was working primarily with only the phosphorescent paint, applying layers and layers to these images. I'm trying to combine painting and photography and to get these two mediums to talk to each other. And so coming to the residency, one of the questions I had was whether you could modulate this color and get it to shift at all. And so in working with some of the specialists here, I learned that by combining the phosphorescent paint with fluorescent paints, you can extend the color palette. I spent the first week pretty much just making test after test after test, trying to create different ratios of phosphorescent paint to fluorescent paint, different ratios of time and exposure, and getting results that were all over the place. But even with that limitation, I still doubled the amount of color I had in the project. So this studio is actually really perfect for this process. The windows are really helpful. Lay down the coats of paint on the photographs, walk them over to the window and tape them up. They absorb the light, the energy from the sun, and then it can travel over to the bathroom darkroom and make the long exposures. There's a whole kind of longer through line to this project, working with the photographic objects, like working with physical photographs, found images, and trying to translate them through other media. Kind of invert that hierarchy of the visual and the tactile photography. I'm also curious what the physical object could tell us and what stories they might contain. I have this idea to look at another genre of painting in Korea, which is the chekgori. It's kind of a curated collection of these objects that all have some symbolic meaning to them and are often tied to a single person or scholar. These cameras, I brought them here, and I've been working out in the barn, airbrushing for the first few coats and then applying some hand brushing. They're gonna go into this box, so I rephotographed them in here. When we went to visit the factory, we made a drawdown, which was a test that they do in the factory to test the different material properties of paint and the opacity or translucency of different colors. And I was really interested in that mark making. I'm a photographer and not a painter at all, so there's not a lot of painterly technique involved in this. I'm mostly just making marks and making surfaces. It definitely seems on the surface like an odd fit for a photographer to apply to a painting residency at a paint company. But I had some idea of the culture here and that it was a residency program that was interested in artists working with the materiality of paint rather than a residency for painters. It seemed like a really productive fit for where this project was at and a really exciting and interesting residency to take on. One of the most valuable things that I'll take away from the residency is all of the connections to the people here. I'm so impressed with the team over at the factory, and I'm super excited to pick their brain at some point in the future about other projects, and I really appreciate the way that the artists in the program are encouraged to keep those connections and stay in touch, and the people here can be a resource long after the time of the residency is over.
My name is Kirk Mayard, and I am a 2024 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. A lot of the people in my work are from many walks of life. Some of them are friends, some of them are total strangers that I might meet along the way. I found so many rich stories from meeting people from different walks of life. The materials that I'm really working with are oil pastels and also pan pastels because I'm able to blend, I'm able to mix some of the textures that I'm building into my work, especially with the hair. I've been using curling motions to build out a lot of the textures. I'm using my burnt siennas here. I have my raw umbers, that titanium white, ultramarine blues. It's really good for very dark tones to use without black. And I would also say yellow ochre has also been very good to me. These two works are the starting points of my weight series. So this is the painting side of me. This is actually a part where I get to speak to my subjects, create works based on what they tell me, how they feel about the American dream. Why I started this particular series was I was thinking about my mom. So she came here from Guyana as an immigrant to this country, expecting that idea of prosperity to be easy for her, only to realize that it was a lot of work to be able to build a life. And so I found there was a lot of disillusion with people from that Caribbean diaspora who came to America and saw that it wasn't what they expected. Some of the things that really influenced me are socio-political events. So for my Periphery series, which are the series that really show the hoodies in my work for my oil pastel drawings, I was influenced by the Trayvon Martin trial in 2012. This is an oil pastel series where I'm dealing with body language responses to a stereotype threat through the symbol of the hoodie, and exploring the variety of those emotional responses, from resignation to sadness to wanting to be seen or wanting to be hidden. I want people to be able to feel that connection to the work as a representational artist and be able to see that work, and then of course be able to see the concepts behind the work as well.
My name is Henry Morales, and I am a 2024 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. A lot of my process connects to myself as a Guatemalan American. Many of the materials that I've used in the past have that connection. I actually mixed in Guatemalan coffee beans into the work. That idea of just like the image is being imported as well to us. So it's just using dirt from my family's house and incorporating that into the acrylic and oil paint to kind of bring in that added layer of intimacy or something that ties my home, my roots back into the painting. Even the movements within the works are encapsulating some of the movements that my mom or us would do, like when we're cleaning the house, you know, like probably sweeping or cleaning with a rag on the windows and stuff like that. These tools are connected to what my family does, whether it be, you know, using this, brushing in their janitorial work or construction work. It also brings a connection to what my family does to survive and what I do to survive, I guess. Two different labors, just kind of like figuring out those moments of hybridity and then bring it all together. This one's going to be an image of my dad sleeping, but on top of it I'm going to be putting those metal gates you see on windows, like the security gates, inspired from a song, Joya de Oro, by Los Tigres del Norte. The song is this idea of, I came to this country and it's beautiful, but like at what price? Like I miss my family, I miss everything. This is an image of my dad and my grandpa in our house's kitchen. One of those private moments not a lot of people see. My family has this arrangement of fake flowers and fruits just to fancy up the house, but then they have a whole bunch of junk around it that kind of dismisses that. This is just their Guatemalan American still life. My family being in my work is very important to me. I find it important to document our history, our time in the US, our moments of joy, of sadness, moments of just absolute boredom. I think it's just so important to chronicle what is truth to me and being able to have control of my own narrative. I feel like every immigrant child wants to make their parents proud. And for me, making my work about my family at this stage in my life is me kind of just like giving back and for all the like hard work that they've done throughout their life. And you know, it's not being a doctor or lawyer, but like how many people could say that their son made a really good painting about them?